Hey everybody, welcome back to Spiritual Astrology. Today I'm going to talk to you about my personal natal moon placement. So actually a lot of YouTube astrologers have this, and I can usually tell someone with a Gemini moon, someone that was born with a Gemini moon, because of how we speak. Honestly, us speaking, and usually languages and words and letters and alphabets, anything to do with this kind of way of communication is so easy generally for a moon in Gemini. And it usually offsets someone's sun sign, because my sun sign being a Capricorn conjunct Saturn and Mercury, I had issues with being able to express myself, kind of feeling inhibited. So it also kind of helped my moon in Gemini. All of this is very detail oriented. See, my that's how my chart's lined up. But Gemini is very detail oriented, just like Virgo, but it's kind of less focused on one viewpoint. Gemini is kind of like scattered. It has all these different ways of seeing things. It sees everything from every point of view. And with the moon there, this is like the core emotion and mind of someone, remember? So that is what your moon is. Gemini is an air sign, so this makes someone mentally emotional. Well, basically it means that this person will analyze their feelings. So anyone born with the moon in Gemini tends to be hypersensitive, meaning they pick up on everything around them, the energy. They walk into a room, but they don't protect themselves like a moon should. Like, that's why the moon is very positive in Taurus, the sign before Gemini, and Cancer, the sign after Gemini. So with the moon in Gemini, I have a book that explains that moon in Gemini is it would be in its natural 12th house. And this is like a very specific, weird way of looking at the signs and placements. But yes, moon in Gemini is in the sign before its ruler. This generally has a 12th house feeling. So moon and Gemini people tend to feel alone because well, for one, it's hard to explain, but for one, moon and Gemini have very quick minds. Generally, they see a million different things at once, but we are actually quite capable of explaining it in a very good way. We sound very intelligent, and generally we are. So I've watched a few people explain Moon and Gemini on YouTube, and Alyssa Sharp says that Moon and Geminis are smart people. So Gemini tends to make people sound very intelligent and witty and quick and charming. I find Gemini risings and Gemini moons can appear similar. And this is going to sound so bad, but Gemini moons have more of a depth to them. When you speak to a Gemini moon, whether or not they have a different rising sign, they're going to sound intelligent. They're going to be articulate. So that's the word for Gemini moon, is articulate. So this is positive side for Gemini moon. Negative side is high anxiety. Difficulties in relationships, generally. Because this person, regardless of the sun sign, the moon sign will make you scattered. And your moon sign's your emotional needs. Generally, moon in Gemini is kind of so unable to kind of sit still and calm themselves. The best astrology books and astrologers that I've seen to explain Gemini moon says that Gemini moon needs to meditate. Generally, Gemini moon is not good at meditating. I know for myself it's very difficult for me to just kind of relax in a room and turn my mind off, because it's crazy. It's difficult to do that. So another thing for Gemini moon is moon sign is generally shown in your house or how you live. You get to see someone's moon sign when you're around them. Now, I love my room and my house. Being an air sign, I want it to be pretty. I need pretty things around me. I need a good colored walls. I need that to feel comfortable, especially my moon sign that shows. But I like little knickknacks around, and I like to fill spaces with spiritual paraphernalia. Like I have a spiritual corner over there. And I think this video might be different than my other moon videos, but that's because I have a Gemini moon. Um, it also makes me kind of like a bit detached, but I have a Aquarius rising, so that kind of helps. But you know, Gemini moon is detached because generally we feel things differently because we're going to encounter a situation. And we might sound quite shallow about it, but it's because we're going to analyze the situation, the emotions of the situation, and then kind of speak matter-of-factly, and then feel later. But we disconnect the feeling from the logic. So I think, I mean, I'm a Capricorn with Aquarius rising, so that adds to the effect. But it's strange because Gemini is basically capable of seeing a million different viewpoints at once. And you know, it's just like Libra that, you know, Gemini and Libra sit on the fence. So we're not going to be necessarily have the same mood. So that's another thing. So to describe it really well, to articulate myself, Gemini is going to have a different mood from day to day. I'm going to say day to day because generally I feel like this is the best way to say it. It could be from hour to hour, but I think day to day. So the worst thing for Gemini is that they have no consistency with their moods, and their moods kind of really affect how they feel about something. And an air sign or someone with a lot of air, especially if you have an air moon, will be kind of have weird habits. And generally they'll just kind of, if they want a snack, they'll get a specific snack and they'll be like, I'm in the mood for this. I'm in the mood. It's all about mood. Like a Gemini moon, I think Alyssa Sharp explained this, like they'll have an ambiance around everything. It's kind of like a creative feeling. But I'm super into like music, and I find I've noticed people with any planet in Gemini, especially Sun, Moon, or Venus, have like an affinity to music, and it has to be music that suits their mood. I'm totally like this. Like if I'm playing music, it has to be relative to the mood I'm in. And this is very mental. It's not deep emotional. Like you won't find a Cancer talking about their mood. Like, you know, maybe Cancer will talk about the mood. But they're more about important things, like how they're feeling deep down. They'll let themselves feel it. But a Gemini is just like, kind of like, oh my god, that's so boring. But at the same time, Gemini moon is more deep. It's deeper than the sun. But like I said, the worst parts are anxiety, and usually a Gemini moon will drive themselves crazy because they will just have a million ideas floating in their head at once. And they want to kind of organize it, but at the same time, it's fun to just kind of flip from one idea to the next. Now, the worst part is that the moon does kind of influence how we act emotionally in our relationships and what we need emotionally. Gemini moons will want and seek perfection. Now, you have to really think about this because I didn't realize it until I let it sink in, but it's true. And it's a very difficult thing for myself to deal with. And I think being a Capricorn, it doesn't help. So these two signs, like, I was born almost during, like, a complete full moon. And it's kind of ridiculous. But Gemini moon, and my advice is for you to meditate. Because you won't even know what you're really feeling. Like, because Gemini needs to find grounding. It doesn't know that it needs that. But subconsciously, like a Gemini moon needs grounding. And then they can say, oh, I feel this. It took me like 20 years to figure anything of this out at all. I didn't know I had Gemini moon for a little while. And I knew I was a Capricorn. But, you know, you need to look at your moon and sun together. Usually I do some reading about the moon signs before I kind of do the video, but this time I just kind of started talking. Um, but yes, the Gemini archetype of the two people is very symbolic because I think in this sense, the receptivity of the moon, the crescent connected to Gemini. Generally, Gemini moons are interested in the occult or metaphysical things. And I didn't realize was why I was into astrology, but yes, it's part of the reason. But I think with the Gemini moon, you'll see someone into the Hermetic arts and the Hermetic sciences. So Hermes was actually quite an astrologer. He brought the knowledge from high up and brought it down. This is what all air signs do. So if you have an air moon, generally I will say that you should test to see if you're good at astrology or doing readings, because you'll see the details and the logic and the wording that other signs would miss, and you can kind of connect the dots. So that's what air sign's all about. And with moon there, that's the positive part of your moon sign. You're not going to be a very relaxed person like, you know, a Libra moon or a Cancer moon, but you're going to be quite basically, I think a Gemini moon generally helps with someone's IQ. It also helps you with being witty. A lot of Gemini moons, regardless if the rest of their chart is serious, will make you like really funny. Like you'll be like sarcastic sometimes. Your moods are so crazy. Like I consider myself pretty obnoxious, and it's a mix of all my chart, but the Gemini moon part is just like that. And sometimes I just like want to roll my eyes at people that are too serious. And I have a Capricorn sun, but I have a friend who's a Capricorn moon, and it's very different because your moon sign is deep down how you want to act at home and with family. With Gemini moon, it definitely relates to how you see family and how you feel like family should be. And I hate the feeling of being tied down. It's very stressful. It's terrifying for any Gemini placement because we want perfection. It's that thing where we see in our heads, oh, if I get this, it needs to be perfect. But then once the Gemini moon gets older, they realize, oh, emotionally, I need all this perfection. But it's all mental. A Gemini will picture things in their head. A Gemini moon will do this too, to a degree. So just basically, you need to root yourself, meditate, get things down, definitely. Write things down. Start a blog. Start a vlog. Get these words out. And words are important. I can't believe I just thought of saying this. But emotionally, if I'm upset, I talk and talk and talk. Or type and type and type. And then I'll actually say something and then realize how I'm feeling. So I need to communicate this, and then I feel it. If someone's there as a companion to listen, or if I'm just writing it online, it doesn't matter. Gemini doesn't care. Gemini just needs to say stuff, and if Gemini sun, your ego will be fulfilled. If a Gemini's talking. If it's a Gemini moon, your deep emotional being will be calmed and will feel related, and it's very important. So it's different than a water sign moon, because it's about more communication and words and relating in that sense. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed this, and after this I'll be uploading my video for Cancer moon, which is honestly probably my favorite moon placement. I like people with Gemini and Cancer moons. I find it makes someone really bubbly, both of them, but more so Cancer. I just love Cancer moons, and maybe when you're watching this, I'll have it uploaded. And then after that, there's Leo moons. Leo moons are pretty awesome. Actually, it's probably my most favorite Leo placement, because I really just don't like a lot of Leo placements. Okay, thank you, bye.